What's the Church of Scientology so afraid of?
This is
SPTV.
Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing?
Good to be here.
This is going to be a lot of fun. You know, chats are more fun the more people are involved. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Like when I watch Mark and Claire's chats together, I think that is so much more fun than just one person talking to a camera.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so let's tell everyone who we're talking to today and what we're talking about. This is Well, okay, so you know me, Aaron. You know Nora Ames. Oh no, Nora. And we're talking today with Katherine Spallino, former Sea Org member, second generation Scientologist, at least, right? Were your grandparents also in Scientology?
No, they weren't.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, we have a very special guest. She's a published author. Let's not bury the lead, Aaron. You and I haven't written a book. We just sit up here and just yak about stuff. We are too lazy to write books, kids. This is facts. But but Katherine wrote a whole ass book, guys, about her life in Scientology, and I have talked about it. And I have it right here.
Yay!
CADET. Please,
I got mine.
Please get this book. And she's got her copy right there. Please get this book. It is. I'm holding. Like, where's my camera? Get this book. It is amazing. It's very well written. I'm not just saying that because she's here with us in this chat, and she's amazingly beautiful. But also, it is really, really well written. Having been at all the places except for the ranch, that was not a place that I was ever physically at. It's so vivid to just be like thrown back in these places, just like, you know. But I think even for people who've never been physically inside any of these buildings or places, you are just immediately there so vividly. I think you did such a good job of like taking the reader inside the place and inside the mindset of a child in this world of growing up.
That's awesome.
Inside the church. Yeah, no, it's really fantastic because it's really hard. I mean, what was the journey like for you, like as an author, just kind of going through all of this, you know?
Yeah, so I started writing it when I was 20, and which is a long time ago, 18 years ago. Oh, I keep saying I'm older than I am. 17 years ago. I keep thinking I'm 38. I'm not. Anyway, and I just was doing it. I was like, this would be a really cool book to write. Like, the ranch was such an unusual experience. I feel like people are going to want to know about it. But at the same time, my parents and I were still connected. I was coming out of Scientology, but still kind of a Scientologist. So I was more just doing it for myself. And it was just like rewriting all my journal entries, my diary entries, and putting it all down on paper. And I did that for a few years off and on. But when my parents chose to disconnect from me and my sister, who's still in the Sea Org, and my parents are still in the Sea Org, I was like, oh my gosh, I guess I'm writing this book. Because like I didn't do it out of love for them because I didn't want to lose them, even though it's like you feel like a coward in a way to not speak out and talk out about what Scientology does to families and to so many things that Scientology controls. But I really didn't want to lose them. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this book. But once they disconnected me, just because two of my friends were on Leah Remini's show, The Aftermath, and I was connected to them, they were like my best friends in my wedding and everything. They were like, we're done. So
just to be abundantly clear for everybody listening, I know I'm cutting you off, but just to be abundantly clear, you never spoke out. You never said anything negative about Scientology. You were never like, fuck Scientology. This is crappy. I'm not doing it anymore. I hate you. Get out of this cult. You never said anything negative to them whatsoever.
So I was very like, I towed the line a little bit. Sometimes I'll be like, you guys need to take more time off. Like, and I would like use PR.
But you were never overtly negative.
I was never on social media being against Scientology. I only would say little comments. Like I compared the Sea Org to 1984 once to my sister. She did not like that. So there was
spoke out anywhere under a pseudonym.
Nothing publicly. No.
Okay.
No.
But then you just had a friend who happened to be in your wedding.
Two friends.
Back in the day. And then they were on a show. And then without any warning, your parents were like, deuces, I can't talk to you anymore.
Yeah. Well, they called,
Okay.
my sister called me and was like, you know that they're going to be on the, you knew that they're going to go on the show and you didn't tell me. And I'm like, why would I tell you? Like, that's not my place to tell you that. That's their lives. They could talk about whatever they want and speak their truths. And then I was like, maybe like the Sea Org could learn from this. Maybe they could be better from this. And she was trying to have a real conversation. And she was like, I'm just really hurt. It's been really hard for me right now. Everybody's attacking the Sea Org. And she's like, we just need a break right now. And that's what the words they used. And then I didn't hear from them again for 5 years. The worst part was I sent out a holiday card, which I do every year. And then she sent out a holiday card with me and my brother out of it. Jason got clipped too for some reason, even though he had nothing to do with it either. And it was my mom and my sister and my dad. And it was the same holiday template from Shutterfly. I was like, did you do this intentionally as like a make up the day, like, where you have to prove you're not an enemy of the group? Like maybe she was in lower conditions and she picked the same card I had picked of my family, like the same template, and then mailed it to all my relatives, but not to me and my brother. And so my cousin was like, oh, you guys picked the same card. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's when it was like really real. It's like, oh, they've like officially really, they're like, this is our new family. That's what it felt like to me.
Wow. Can you say which of your two friends were in the Aftermath show?
I think so. I don't know if they'd want me to.
I mean, they were already on the show.
They're already on the show. Yeah, it was Miriam and Sina. They talked about the ranch and then the abuses that they experienced and the cover-ups that the Scientology did. So yeah, and Miriam, actually was like a really big part of my book. Like I would send her drafts and she'd read them and tell me things she remembered from the ranch and like helped me so much with editing, and she's amazing.
So let's tell everyone real quick what the ranch is. Because even people who kind of pay attention to the Scientology stuff, there's multiple ranches. There's an int ranch, there's a pack ranch. Tell the people who are watching what exactly the ranch is, what it was used for.
Yeah, so the ranch was like, I forget how many acres, but it's up like 45 minutes to an hour away from LA, depending on traffic, maybe more, in the mountains near Santa Clarita. And all of us were sent there ranging in ages. Sometimes you were as young as 8, I was 8 years old, but you could have been like 10, sometimes like 6, like really, really young. And we went there and there was dorms and we were being raised to basically be future Sea Org members. So it was very similar to a Sea Org. We had jobs like as if we were little adults, like posts, they called them. And you had to do your job. And then you did some of regular school and then you did Scientology school. And that was our day-to-day life pretty much. And then you had on the weekends was like white glove the whole ranch, which was like clean the whole ranch. And then Sundays, they used to bus up our parents on Sunday mornings at the beginning when I was like 8, 9, 10. But then all of a sudden the bus stopped coming. I don't know what happened. So then I like rarely saw my parents. So I saw them like, instead of it was like once every other weekend, it became like once every 4 months. Or like if we went down to do work at the org, because they would bring us down there to do filing or something, then we'd be like, oh, like, let's go see our parents at our lunch break and ask for money to go to the canteen. It's like our quality parent time.
So all the kids who were at the ranch were children of Sea Org members?
Yes, you had to be a Sea Org child. And you're like dedicated to joining the Sea Org. Like that's your purpose. And if you didn't want to do that, you had to go. But like everybody generally wanted to, like we thought that's what
would happen to kids that didn't want to join the Sea Org if they had to go? Where would they go?
Randomly, kids would disappear, like because they would never tell you that they were thinking these thoughts, but it was really rare. So like I had a friend, she has a pseudonym in the book.
Yeah, you don't have to.
But we have a conversation. Yeah. And we had a conversation. We were both in trouble on what was like the mini RPF. It's called the ECG though. And I was like, what are you doing? And she was writing her conditions on doubt. And I was like, I wonder if she wants to leave, but she's not allowed to tell me. And then she did eventually leave. I don't know I think she joined the Sea Org for a little bit, but I think she left a little bit before me. But there were definitely kids, but it was rare. Like 1 or 2 who like kind of like, you're like, oh, wait, they're not here anymore. And like, they're gone. But most of us ended up joining the Sea Org. And then like, the wild part is like half are still in. So like these kids that I grew up with are like, half of them are still in the Sea Org. I like have no contact with them, but like they were like my sisters or brothers growing up. And then the other half I would say about half left, and like a quarter of them are still Scientologists, and then most are no longer Scientologists, which is kind of cool. Or of that half that left.
What are a few names of the people who were in the cadet org with you that you know are still in the Sea Org?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm trying not to say names, but I'll say the book names if that works.
Oh, you don't use their names in the book?
No, the book is all pseudonyms.
Yeah, except for myself and Miriam, just because she was helping. Like,
what was the reason? What was the reason for doing that?
Just protect their privacy. Like, they didn't ask to be in a book, so it's still the story. It's still all true. It's still how it happened in my viewpoint. But they get. I mean, like, I don't even think they'll ever get to read it. But
and despite that, you're still going to be probably. I mean, I don't know why you would have been declared beforehand just for being associated with Miriam. But I mean, despite the fact that you protect everyone's privacy in this book for incidents that were absolutely real, they're going to rake you over the coals anyway, even though you don't use anyone's real name. Which is unbelievable to me. Even your own family members' names, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So let me ask you a question though, because I haven't read the book yet, and I'm not trying to get you to name names with respect to stories that have been told, but for people in the Scientology community, which is a very small community, are you able to just give some names of people you were in the cadet org with who you know are still in the Sea Org?
I'll give their first names. Like, I know Alyssa.
Yeah,
no,
that's fine because they're still there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and actually, they probably have gotten married and have a different name. But Alyssa, Niana, like, I grew up with them in the same dorm since we were like really little. I think I know for sure those two are in. Diana, maybe.
I mean, there's people we've talked about. People was Quinn at the ranch with you? Because I know Quinn was. I don't think he's a Sea Org baby though. I don't. Yeah. Oh,
now hold on. I have to say something. Hold on.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that. I have to. Quinn Hammer.
I already know what Aaron's going to say.
It is not a violation. No. It's not. Someone can do or not do it, or say or not say whatever they. I'm not trying to twist any arms. I just want to put something on the record. It is not a violation of someone's privacy to say someone's name. It's a violation of privacy to say something about them they wouldn't want known. And I'm not asking for anyone to violate someone's privacy. I just want to give people context of, oh, I know that person. Like, I was never in the cadet org. There's a lot of people I was in the Sea Org with who actually don't even know if they were in the pack ranch. For me, it provides context to know what era someone, like a Quinn Toffer, for example. Was Quinn at the pack ranch? If that was true, I never knew that. Were any of the Toffers at the pack ranch? I don't think so. But like, people I was in the Sea Org with who I think had the reputation of being, there's just a pack rancher. Was like Mickey Sarkovich.
Okay, he's out.
And I don't even if they're in or out. I'm just talking about like Sepp Astrupgard a pack rancher.
Yeah, all of the ones who are rowdy, pretty much.
Was Brandon Orlando? Was Brandon Orlando
a pack? I love that.
A pack. Yeah. The kids who just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. That's all ranchers. But then they all ended up leaving. I don't know about Brandon if he's still in, but a lot of the ones who were rowdy were the ones who ended up leaving because they have a mind of their own. And they're like, the ones who stayed of my friends that I grew up with are the ones that always were in ethics at the ranch. And that's a pattern. Like the kids that did go off the rails at the ranch or were like, blow from course or like, just mess around or talk back. Those ones all left. But everybody, the ones who naturally, I don't know what it is, like genetically or what, but they follow the rules. So then what do you do when you're in the Sea Org? You follow the rules and everything and that goes along with that. Like my sister was always a rule follower. So she's still in and she's like 40, whatever. What am I? 37. So she's like 33, 43, 44. And I'm like,
I was going to start telling people that I didn't know you in the Sea Org, but I knew your brother, your sister, your parents, but now I don't want to say their names because I don't know if that's a violation of privacy.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still learning. Like I haven't been public this whole time, so I'm still learning what I'm comfortable with. In my book, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious now because my last name is the same. It's Mike and Eunice, so it's fine. But it's just, it is
And
weird. I know.
Hold on.
I know.
Aaron
but
does
I'm
know your parents because he worked at ASHA, but I want to say something. I was talking to my mom about your book, who was a longtime ASHA student. Aaron knows my mom. Like Scientology, once again, which I always repeat over and over, Scientology is the smallest town on the planet. Everybody somehow knows everybody. And I used to joke that people literally had to check and make sure they weren't accidentally cousins with each other before they got married, especially in the Sea Org, right? Because you'd be like, oh shit, like, I can't. Oh, that
a lot of my friends became like stepbrothers and stepsisters,
right?
Parents
And that would
and
happen.
remarried. Yeah.
Right? Exactly. And it's a joke, but it's true. So I said to my mom, I was talking about your book, and then I had mentioned what you and I had talked about. And my mom said that when she was on her internship at ASHO, she was supposed to have been auditing your mom. And she said that she could never get your mom into session because, as ridiculous as this sounds, because your mom, and I met her a few times, was like, knowing her, the loveliest, kindest, sweetest, like best person on the planet Earth. However, and this is my mom's words, she could never get her into session because somehow she was always in lower conditions for the most ridiculous things that were never in her control. Like she would be like, okay, we're going to go into session on X day at X time. And my mom would go to get her to take her in session. And then they'd be like, oh, she'd be like, oh, I can't, I'm in this condition for blood. And my mom would be like, what, how is that even your thing? Like, what?
Yeah.
What? And so it's like, it would never be an opportunity for her to move at all on the bridge because she was always being slammed for something that had nothing to do with her at all. And this is classic Sea Org. This is just classic. No matter what, if you're working your butt off and grinding away for however many years your mom's been in the Sea Org, 150, the bridge that quote unquote is supposed to be handed to you as a Sea Org member, just here you go, you're volunteering your entire life away, you're going to get the whole bridge. It's a total lie, as we know. As a Sea Org member, you get nothing.
Get anything.
Nothing. Where do you know where your parents are on the bridge, where they have achieved?
Oh my gosh. So in my book, I talk about it a little bit, but my dad got to OT3 and then stopped. So I always wonder now, knowing what I know, I'm like, was he like, whoa, I don't want to know. I don't want to go any further because of that's when like the aliens get introduced, right? And Xenu and stuff.
Yes.
So I wonder if that's the stop, but also if you're saying what you're saying, like, because I always wonder, like, why don't they ever make progress? Like maybe because they're always in conditions or you don't have time because you got to be on post. Like I always didn't understand that either. And why was like Sea Org members never actually getting auditing or going up the bridge or whatever.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, but if someone has been in the Sea Org for a long time and their last name is Spallino and they look a lot like Katherine, they just might be related.
Yeah.
And your parents, both of your parents, were honestly some of the nicest people I ever knew in the Sea Org. And this is
good.
And then you hear that they disconnected with you because of all this bullshit, and you're like, I think it's startling for some people to understand that even otherwise normally kind-hearted, smart, generous people would disconnect from their family members as soon as Scientology policy dictated that that's what needed to be done.
Yeah, it's super sad. And I so just to give a fuller picture, like they actually would come and visit me once I had my they came to my wedding. They came then like a few years later when I had my first child. They came out every week, and then we would see them over Christmas. And then we were doing this every year, seeing them once or twice a year. So they were involved in my life, and they knew I wasn't a Scientologist, but we had like that boundary. As long as I didn't speak out, it was fine. And then I always was like, slowly, my other friends were starting to get disconnections from their parents. My other cadet friends who were out, no longer Scientologists. But I was always like, hopefully that's not my family. They're so like involved in my life. We talk on the phone. And then once the Aftermath show happened, and then I got that phone call from my sister and they disconnected like that, I was just like, but how? Like, I couldn't understand it. Like I had baby twins and they came out and held them. Like they were so involved, and the twins were still only like a year old. So they gave up this time of life of like 5 years or something. I mean, yeah, it's like wild to me. Now my kids are 9 and 6. So they
haven't seen them for 5 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then can I talk about what happened, Nora, with my mom?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like supposed to be like if there's So Nora reached out, and somehow somebody got information that my parents were no longer at PAC, and she got a number and that they were like severely ill. So I'm like freaking out because I haven't heard from them in 5 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so scary. And I did call. I managed to get through somehow, which I did not, because before when I tried to reach them, like I didn't just give up. Like right when they stopped talking to me, I would call ASHO and I'll be like, leave a message for my mom, and they would always say, okay, we'll take a message. And I never hear back. Same with ALA. And they don't have cell phones. But it's like you only could go through the York. And my sister had a cell phone, but I was blocked on it. And like she like said, oh, could you only talk to me via email? And then wouldn't respond. So then anyway, I just finally kept trying to call this number. I'm like, my heart's in my throat. And then I somehow get through, and they put my dad on the phone, which was wild. And he's just like, oh, hey, how's it going? I'm like, whoa, like it's been 5 years, but he acted like it was like no time had passed. And he's just like, yeah, we're doing good. And like, I get the update, and then I'm like, is mom there? And my mom gets on the phone. She's happy to hear from me. And I'm just like, okay, well, like why? It's been 5 years. Don't you want to hang out? And she's like, she asked about my kids, and she's just like, well, I have to check with my ethics officer. I'm just like, I can't believe that's her response. And I'm like, well, why? And she's like, are you still connected to Miriam? And I'm like, it does. I'm like, why does it have to be about Scientology? Can't we just be together and like just have that special time together? And she was like, well, yeah, that would be nice. I just have to check. And then I was like, okay. And then we say, I love you. We hang up. And then I'm like, shh, I got to tell her. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I need to tell her about my book if she's going to go talk to an ethics officer, because I don't want the ethics officer telling her. Right. So I start calling and nobody's picking up. I'm like, oh no. And then I get through, and then I tell her about my book, and she's like, what is it about? Is it attacking Scientology? And I'm like, she's like, what's it called? I'm like, The Bad Cadet. And she's like, oh, like starts coughing because I think that like startled her. And I was just like, I thought she was gonna like have a heart attack, and she like recovered. And I'm just like, she's like, does it attack Scientology? And I'm just like, well, it's a story about how I do really bad in the Sea Org. And I'm like, I don't think so, but I think I don't say this part, but in my mind, I know anybody reading it is going to immediately be like, wow, this church is horrible. But I'm just trying to not like, I'm just like, this is my story. I just want to let you know, because you're probably going to hear about it. And my door is open, and I hope that we could still talk. And then I was like, I love you, Mom. She's like, I love you too. And we ended there. But now the phone's disconnected, and I can't reach them anymore.
It's disconnected now.
Yeah, it just goes beep, beep, beep. At first, it was saying this phone is no longer in service, and now it just says beep, beep, beep. So I'm like,
unfucking believable. How did you get them on the phone?
I called, and then they're like, first I pretended like I was my Aunt Ruthie, and then so my dad was like, Ruthie, and I was like, hi, how are you doing? Are you healthy? And then
but like the phone number, but the phone number that you called, it wasn't an org phone number, right?
No, they're like at this apartment house off campus on Edgemont, which is like a block over, I guess. And that's where they are staying. And I guess they're kind of retired now. I think they probably just do like course all day or auditing. And my dad said sometimes they do work like statements. I didn't really know what that meant, but maybe it's like desk work.
So, probably but like, just trying to collect people's money, but yeah.
Yeah.
But like, who answered the phone?
I don't know. And like a woman, and she was
but not
like,
your parents.
Not my parents. And she was just like, oh, who's calling? Like very casual. It was definitely a different vibe from a Sea Org, which made me hopeful. Like maybe they don't care anymore because these guys are no longer working. Like not as big of a deal. And I was hoping that maybe they were just going to let them go and let them be. I don't know.
But all you said is, hey, this is Eunice's sister, Ruthie. Is she around? That's all you had to say. And you were able to get her on the phone?
Yeah. But then the second time I just said my full name, Katherine Spallino, and they put him on, and it was fine. But then now my brother was trying to get through, and he's like, I can't get through. So I tried, and we can't get through. So I'm like, yeah. So I don't know. I'm going to keep trying, but it's not looking good. But yeah, that's like just that.
They probably just changed the number. They'll get a new number.
Yeah.
We've got the address to the house though, right?
I hope so. I mean, maybe we'll
see. We won't reveal that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Might be time for a little house visit.
They can't get another house. So
So it's your understanding that they were sent off to this house because they're ill or what?
Yeah, but they said they were doing fine. My dad has like diabetes, but he said he's keeping up on it and all that. And then, I mean, I don't know, because you also have to be good roads, good weather when you talk to somebody outside of the church to say like everything's okay. But it sounded pretty truthful, like what they were saying. Like my dad said, my mom has high blood pressure. And then when my mom got on the phone, she's like, oh, yeah, I just have some high blood pressure. I'm keeping an eye on that. So I'm like, okay. But I don't know, like for sure.
But no
so,
recognition or acknowledgement at any point in the conversation that they hadn't spoken to you in 5 years. And last time they spoke to you, they disconnected from you.
No, and I had to bring it up, and they were like, "Yeah, it's a bummer. Like they can't control it."
So sorry.
Yeah. I'm like, I want to, and I haven't talked to my sister in like forever. I would love to talk to her.
Is she still a bridge?
I think
Or
so.
you wouldn't know, would you?
No,
Mm.
because I had assumed my parents were still on post, but I guess I'm relieved that they're not, because like they're in their 70s. I think my dad's approaching 80. So
were you guys, because you have there's a whole bunch of Spallino kids, of which you were one.
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys all born into the Sea Org, or did your parents just join the Sea Org when you guys were really young?
So my parents had my brothers. I'm the youngest. My brothers and my sister in New York, and then joined the Sea Org. So I was born in the HI, which is like the big Scientology sign. So the first page of this, can I read it? It's really short, Aaron.
Sure.
Yes, please do. Yeah.
So this is dedicated to the ranchers, first of all, because, we're naughty little kids. Kind of cool to write a story about us. All right. Preface. Oh, wait. No, we're not going to read that page. Sorry. Okay. Forward. A midwife delivered me in a small room in a 4-story apartment building on Hollywood Boulevard. Turned out it's actually 8 stories. My mistake. Somebody pointed it out on the reviews, and I Googled it. I was like, oh, my baby self didn't remember that. Sorry.
The whole book is false.
That's what the person implied. I'm like, oh, it was a building. Okay. I had that right. The luminescent bright green Scientology sign outside my window reflected off the Hollywood stars that lined the sidewalk below. I was a Sea Org baby. My parents had dedicated their lives to the Church of Scientology and its Sea Org, and in doing so, dedicated my life as well. Instead of being raised by my parents, my brothers and sister and I were trained among a couple hundred other Sea Org children to be the future leaders of Scientology. I was a cadet, and I was going to help save the planet. If only I can follow the rules. So yeah, that's gives the vibe.
Great beginning.
Thank you.
Such a great beginning. Yes.
So I have to say, like with my book, I had to choose whether it was going to be a looking back perspective, which you're going to have more anger. You're going to be upset because you realize a lot of this growing up, how I was raised was wrong. But I decided I wanted to show, like, through the eyes of us, the young kids, and for myself, of course, it's my perspective, what it's really like to grow up believing so hard in L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology and the Sea Org. But then as I'm becoming a teenager, I have all these like other urges to like live a life, and it's battling against being on purpose and joining the Sea Org, and being a good cadet, or being a bad cadet, which I was a bad cadet. Yeah. So it's just it's a different kind of story out there than what's out there now, as in it's more of a young girl's perspective.
Yeah. So you mentioned before that there was why for a while you weren't publishing the book for your family, and then once they disconnected, you did. But what made you want to write the book in the first place?
I think that I wanted to capture the ranch and the pack cadets, and I wanted to show what indoctrination is like from a young person's perspective. And I thought that I could do it. Like, I thought I had written already everything down when I was 20. I had all these memories. I'm an avid reader, so I loved the idea of writing. And like when I read Anne Frank's diary, obviously a much sadder diary, it was very inspiring when I was young. I was like, oh, that would be cool to do that one day. So it's a bit of like pride. Like, I thought I could tell this story, and I think I did a good job of it. And it seems, at least my friends who've read it have been like, thank you for writing our story. Like, you've like validated what we've gone through. And they actually, like, I'll be honest, like, you might laugh when you read this book because I'm writing it as a young child, and there's really funny stuff where I'm like swearing at people like who are trying to tell me what to do, and like climbing in dumpsters and getting pissed about it, because I'm in trouble, and I'm like, this is bullshit, child abuse. Like, these are my reactions because I'm like a young teenager, and I also recognize it was kind of wrong. Like, it was very wrong, not kind of wrong.
Yeah.
But I would like rebel against it, and then they would be like, get back into valence, go and be in ethics. And I would be like, oh,
can I ask
fine.
you a question?
Yeah.
Do you remember when the policy changed? I think it was 1999 when the ranch got closed down. And were you there at the ranch when that happened? Or were you already in the Sea Org when that happened?
I wasn't there when it got shut down. I think it got shut down. Yeah, like it could have been still even open in 2000s. But I was one of. They always like randomly would be like, all of you are going in the Sea Org, and like, or be like,
right.
A few kids would just disappear and go in the Sea Org. So one time I was like chosen. I finished my A, B, and C certs, which is like their equivalent of enough schooling, but it's like 5th grade to 6th grade education. And they're like, okay, like you get to join the Sea Org. And I was like, before all my friends, and I was like, oh, cool, I'm so special. And then I like joined the Sea Org, and I was like, I'm before my friends. I'm like, oh my gosh. But then like next week, 3 more kids, next week, 5 more kids, next week, and 8 more kids. And they were just emptying the ranch out. Like, here you go, off you go. And I think that at that point they were planning on shutting it down, but I did not know that at the time. So it's very arbitrary how they like choose you and shuffle you off somewhere.
Right. They didn't announce it to you guys that we're shutting down the ranch, because then did you guys ever see that policy that they came out with to shut it down? Did you ever see that?
No,
in the Sea Org?
I wish I saw it. No,
because what happened was all of us in the Sea Org, because I never went to the ranch. I joined the Sea Org at age 18, right? It's just I went to regular high school and then graduated high school. My mom was very big on education. And then like I straddled both worlds, being a last lifetime clear, and then growing up being a Scientologist, and then my mom not allowing me to join the Sea Org, even though I was recruited at age 8 to go into the Sea Org and stuff, and not like, allowing me to do that. And then I joined after I graduated high school. But around, I think it was, correct me if Aaron wasn't in the Sea Org at the time. So it was 98 or 99. And they changed the policy where you used to be able to have kids, and then they would either put you like at a class 5 org for a number of years until your kid was 10. And then your 10-year-old would be able to go to the ranch, and you could return to the Sea Org. You get like this mini LOA, but you would be posted on garrison missions. That's what they used to call it, at like a class 5 org, while your kid was aging up to age 10, and then they could go to the ranch, and then you'd come back. So it was this whole thing. If you were a Sea Org member, you could have a kid, and it was this whole great thing. And then it was like,
when was that?
I was like, when I first
90s?
joined the Sea Org, this was, when I first, in 1995, when I joined the Sea Org. So I was like, I had this whole grand plan. We were going to open an org in Italy. I was like, I'm going to have a kid and go to Italy, and my kid's going to speak Italian. And then I'm going to be in this garrison mission and CC Vienna, or CC
Milano.
One of the Italian towns. Thank you. And then I'm going to come back, and my kid's going to be like bilingual. And I was like, this whole fantasy land. And then I'll come back to CCN, and it'll be a whole great thing. And then Grace CADET comes in and like slams this new policy down in front of me, and she's like, what are you going to do now? Are you staying or are you going? And I was like, what? And she knew one of the things for me on being in the Sea Org was this ability to have kids and still be a Sea Org member. And so I read this policy, and she was like, I want your decision in the next 12 hours. And I was like, right. And this is how we found out that the ranch was closing. It was like this huge policy about how having kids was off purpose, and either you were going to be a Sea Org member and give up children altogether, or you were dedicating your life to the Sea Org. And I had to have like this extremely hard look at myself and decide I was dedicating all of my dynamics and myself to just the Sea Org and never having kids. And like, I had to call my mom and tell her, just kidding, you're not having grandkids. And like, this huge, like, it was awful. And it was really hard. And and it was bad. It was bad.
Then,
and there was a couple of people that left and stuff because of that.
Then what
but they
year
gave us a
then
choice.
was that?
We could leave. It was like 98 or 99.
Gosh,
They gave it. They
I
did
always
give us
thought
a choice
you couldn't
at
have
that
kids.
moment.
I thought you
it
never
was
could have kids.
It was a choice. It was I'll put that in air quotes. I mean, they probably would have never let me really leave, but it was like Grace gave me the choice because I had been on, like you, very bad on decks many times, almost leaving several times, blowing, etc.
Yeah.
But they did give us the choice. Of course, it's interesting to me that they didn't tell the cadets at the ranch any of these things. It was just like, hey, you're so special. You're going to the Sea Org. Look at you. Congratulations. You know, like it was just not like, and then you guys were just
no
told,
congratulations.
no children.
You just go. There was no graduation or anything.
You're chosen.
Get in the car. You're leaving this in 2 hours. It's very like anticlimactic. Wow, I can't believe this because literally the whole time growing up, I had been told you can never have children. I didn't even know there was a choice, and I knew like in the Sea Org people were having abortions to stay in the Sea Org, and like encouraged to or coerced to have abortions, which is so sad.
Oh, right.
Because they were like, oh, the bigger purpose, I got to stay in the Sea Org. And so I'm like, I didn't even know that people knew of this other route of like having children and being able to leave and come back, like leave and go to a class 5 org and still be kind of in good standings. Basically you're saying, right? And like,
well,
because there were so few people that did that and actually came back.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't an
option, but people weren't coming
really,
back.
It wasn't really supposed to be an option per se. It was supposed to be the punishment. So like you could have kids, but they were supposed to send you to the shittiest, most god-awful failing org. Your punishment was you had to work at that org where you're going to make less money than you're making in the Sea Org.
Yeah. And barely surviving. Right.
Yeah. Well, and so you're still obligated.
A lot of people became regs and made hella money, and they're like, I'm just going to stay here. That's what ended up happening is people were making way more money than the Sea Org, and then they weren't coming back. And then their kids were like thriving in in like regular school. And then they were off purpose because their kids weren't in Scientology schools. It was a whole thing. It was a mess. And then people weren't coming back to the Sea Org after the 10 years because their kids had friends.
Oh my gosh.
So it was kind of, they weren't obeying the rules. They weren't coming back to the Sea Org because they were like, why now I have a mortgage, now I'm in debt. They couldn't come back.
Yeah, totally. I just okay. So literally in my book, I go, next we decide, I'm at a Scientology event. I go, next we decide to go to the child care room set up for the Scientologist public. I will get to see my mom, who was assigned to work in child care at every event. But mostly I just want to spend the rest of the time holding the babies. I love babies. I still do. And they were so soft and warm and melted in my arms. My heart softened like butter when I held them, their chubby fingers grabbing my face. As a future Sea Org member, I will never have children of my own. I literally believe that. My parents' generation was the last one that was allowed to have families. Like, this is normal to me. And I'm just like, in the late 80s, a policy letter was issued that prohibited Sea Org members from having children. I didn't know why. Maybe they decided that raising us and setting up these ranches wasn't worth the trouble. But I was like totally nonchalant, 15 years old. I'm never going to have kids. And I think that probably maybe because you came, like you knew other people who didn't come from the ranch. So they did take that other route or were like Aaron said, like kind of forced to work for an org, but they made the best of it and then they don't come back. But it's just funny that like that was actually a big reason when I finally was like on the deck so many times. I was like, eventually I am going to want to have kids. So I got to like make a life for myself. I can't just like leave and have a child. So I'd rather leave young and like start my life and have fun. Like that's a big reason why I want to leave. It's so boring in the Sea Org. People don't realize that, right? Like, isn't it the most like mediocre, like boring ass jobs ever? It's like repetitive, annoying, and not rewarding. To me, that's how I felt.
What post were you on?
So my first post was the Rudiments Registrar, which was horrible. I was 15, and I had to call people who were mad at Scientology and the Sea Org and tell them to come into the org. So all these people are yelling at me, get off the phone, get me off your list. Or they're like swearing, and I'm just like, it was so horrible. It's my first job or post. And then after that, I lasted on that for a few months. Then I went out ethics and went on the decks for a while. And then they're like, okay, why don't you go back on the EPF and like just get back on purpose that way? And there was some hot guys on the EPF. Like literally, these are my thoughts as a young child. So I was like, okay, I'll try it. It's like so stupid, but it's just what, that's what a 15-year-old brain is like. So I went back on the EPF and eventually get back in the Sea Org. And then I was a CF clerk, which I liked because I was just like filing, and my mom was in the basement so I could see her every day, like on post. Of course, we're not just getting to hang out, but it was nice to see her sweet little face because my mom is a sweetheart. And then I did that, got bored. I was like, this is so boring. It's like your life is wasting away. That's what it felt like. So eventually, I mean, you would read all this in my book, but eventually I was just like, fuck this. Sorry. Am I allowed to swear? Time out.
Yeah, you can swear. You can swear. How old were you when you left the Sea Org?
I had just turned 16.
Oh, wow.
So, and then,
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, where the hell did you go?
So they found me an aunt that I never heard of on my sister's side. I had met her family, her other sisters, my aunts, like when I was like 8. We once went on vacation. That's how little vacations we had. And then, so this one I'd never met before, but I guess she was in Florida and she had a daughter, three daughters, and one of them was 17. So I went to stay with her.
Were they Scientologists?
No, very Christian.
Wow.
So that was very shocking. Yeah.
Wow. They sent you off to live with non-Scientologist family members. That's a little risky.
How far away
from
was
a Scientology perspective?
Yeah, they try to get you out of LA. I think, maybe they didn't know where to put me because a lot of us were leaving around the same time. I wasn't the only one on the decks. We were all trying to leave, and they had to find, a lot of them they found random Scientology families and they put them there. But they were always away from LA, like Austin or like wherever. Mine was in Florida. 2001. Yeah. I think. Yeah. So, and that was another thing about my book is very weird, and I'm just going to put it out there, is that it ends where I leave the Sea Org, and when you leave the Sea Org, what are you? You are still a Scientologist. So that's very unusual. But I was trying this. I didn't mean to do this, but now there has to be a second book about what happens when you're a Scientologist, living in the real world and having to put real life facts on what's around you and compare it to Scientology, and starting to come out of that and what it took for me to leave Scientology's like brain control, mind control that they had over me. And that's a whole nother story. So yeah. I just didn't want to cut the ranch story short, and I really wanted to flesh it out and have like this full story of the ranch and the Sea Org. So that's one book.
Did you enroll in high school when you left and went to live with your aunt?
Yes. So that is a whole, oh gosh, I did not finish. I was like, where am I? What is this? This isn't like the movies. It was just like culture shock, just not ready mentally. And yeah.
Oh, it wasn't like some incredible experience of freedom or something?
I wish.
Was it like Glee and everybody's doing a musical down the hallways? Like
No, but I did love TV. I was like obsessed with TV, like Friends. I was like, and like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and like all that. And so that was like, I would just sit around and watch TV all day, like slacking off, but I loved it. And my aunt was like, who is this person just staying at my house watching TV all day? I think that was like, I didn't sign up for school right away. It was like a few months where I just sat around all day like a lazy slob and like taking up space. But it was so nice to not have to work. And I was like really enjoying that and like watching shows. But yeah, so the second book will be called The Bad Scientologist. And again, a play on words because I'm not really a bad person. But I will just say, like,
I don't think anybody thinks that, Katherine. I just don't. I know. I don't think you have to clarify that, but yeah.
Yeah. But basically my brother, Philip, was really sick, and I'm like 20 and I'm like working at Delphi in LA, doing really well. And they call me into the org. And this is like something where they actually have the nerve and the audacity to say, I am causing my brother to get sick. And they give me a non-interb order. And it's like non-interpolation order, meaning I can no longer talk to my family. So that was when I was 20. So like there's a whole, in the second book, a whole story about leading up to that moment and then what happens after. I have to take a moment
here, Katherine. I just have to take a moment of levity here to just apologize to you. Are you serious right now? They blamed you for what happened to Philip?
Yeah, well, he was still alive. He was just starting to get sick and going to the hospital.
But
And so
they were
then
saying that the reason why his
I was
illness
the why. I
happened.
was the suppressive person. Like they were trying to do a PTS handling. The cool part, not cool, there's nothing cool about this, but my brother in the report is disagreeing with the MLO who wrote the report. He says, that's not my sister. Like they're like, she's an ex-SEERG member. It must be why you're getting sick. And I was like, no, my brother had cancer and that had nothing to do with me. And it's very sad. But at the time, I'm just like, I was a wreck. I was like crying in the office. I was like, so you're saying I'm evil? And she was like, just staring at me, the ethics officer. Oh, so it was really horrible. But even then, even after that, I still was like, well, some people in the SEERG are bad, but there's something about Scientology is good, but it was the beginning of like me starting to really think, but it still takes a while to like come out of that Scientology world and that brain like believing in it, because I grew up in it. It was like in my bones. It's like,
did you get to go see him when he was at the facility there?
Yeah, so a few months after I was under the non-insured order, which was also my dad was committing mistakes on post, and I was also the reason for that. And again, my dad didn't agree. So thankfully, my family was still like, we don't agree, but except for they did agree to the non-insured order. Like they wouldn't talk to me just in case.
What is it the ethics officer was claiming you were doing that was making you the source of suppression?
Just being me. I'm an ex-SEERG member, and I hung out with them every Sunday. That was it.
Just not being through hadn't finished your lower conditions, hadn't paid your freeloader debt.
Yeah, I hadn't done my freeloader debt, and I hadn't done my lower conditions. So they were like, she must be the why. So, but then a few months later, they were like, my sister called me and she's like, oh, we've lifted it. They've lifted it. And I was like, oh. She's like, yeah, because we have to get checked to see if we're a match for bone marrow transplant for my brother.
Oh my God.
So yeah. So then no apology. I was just back in the fold. And then I went to obviously check if we matched. And then from there, I was able to go every Sunday and visit my brother every Sunday, because then he was in the hospital. And yeah. And unfortunately, after like a year and a half, he did die, which was really sad. So during that whole year of processing everything, it was, very challenging time. So yeah.
Wow.
He was a sweetheart. I did get to see him.
Yeah, he was
there
so sweet.
in the children's hospital there where he was at. I drove your mom out there a few times. She was, it was fun getting to hang with him. We just played some cards sometimes, and he was a cool guy. He was a sweetheart, and he was
really
a rebel
really
all the way to the end. He was just a sassy, fun, amazing guy, who just, I like that, he really gave zero fucks, even while he was sitting there in the hospital, just like, what eds?
Yeah.
He wasn't about, being a pity party or, whatever, even when he was in the kind of worst part of everything, Yeah.
Katherine, if you happen to know, did Scientology pay for his medical care?
I don't think so. I think it was Medicare or Medicaid, because
Medicaid is for people who don't have money.
Okay. Well, he was actually Medicaid, it wasn't Shriners. It was
City of
one
Hope?
of those type. Yeah, he was at City of Hope. So
yeah, which is a really good hospital.
It's an amazing hospital, but it's one of those ones where if you don't have money, you go there because it's paid for by donations.
Oh, okay. Situation. So yeah, I always wondered. I didn't know how that happened.
It's a type of hospital like Shriners, where if you go to those facilities, it's for people.
So Nora, do you have to prove that you don't have resources to pay for medical care in order to be accepted?
Correct.
This is where what I wanted people to take away from this is an organization with billions of dollars whose workforce works for their entire life, 100 hours a week for essentially no money.
Correct.
They don't even pay for the medical care. They go in there, don't say Scientology, claim you're unemployed, claim you're indigent so that you can get into the free hospital. It's just one of the particularly disgusting things about the organization.
And fortunately for him, because City of Hope is considered one of the top 10 medical facilities in the country, he did receive world-class care there. So it is good and bad. He was receiving some of the best medical care he could have possibly received for his cancer treatment. and for his end of life care in that regard. So
yeah,
terrible that Scientology does nothing to care for its members, absolutely at all. But fortunate in that regard, they ended up at that particular facility for the care that he was receiving. But yeah, I mean, they have endless reserves to pay for private investigators to follow Aaron around, to follow Mike and Leah, and anybody that they choose. Thousands of dollars, millions of dollars to follow Pat Broker till he died, but no money for your parents, no money for all of us anytime we got injured or sick or anything else. No money to feed children proper food when they're being raised on the ranch. I mean, what was your daily on the ranch? Just describe daily 3 square meals that you would receive as a child.
they were like big Cisco, we call it Psycho or Cyclo. Big truck would come. So they bought food in bulk. I'm sure it wasn't organic or anything, but I think I'll be honest, our meals were fine. They were like normal, like whatever, chicken, a lot of chicken, but like I was so sick of chicken. And then like, granola and milk one day, or eggs and bacon the next day, like pretty standard. But I would say like our horses would we wouldn't have money for like feeding our horses though. And we would like walk around, the horse I see would walk around with like a hat, and people would like throw in like $1 here, 25 cents to try to raise money to get hay for our horses. Or we'd have to like take them back, and they would like sometimes get so skinny with like their little bones. So that was like, they did make sure we were fed, but like to a point, like if so I guess if your org didn't make enough money, like the ranch was like one of the first they cut of like paying their portion, because every org had to pay for whichever children was theirs, was at that org. And so there was times, or we got paid like SEERG members. I did not. I was unlucky. I didn't have a social security card. But because I was born and with a midwife and never got filed or whatever.
You didn't have a birth certificate, right?
Yeah. So it was very annoying. Very unfair. Nothing like was done to even the fairness. But anyway,
here's a question about.
Okay.
Oh no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. Let's get to this question when you're finished with your answer, because I think this is interesting for people to understand this. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So regarding the pay though, like sometimes we wouldn't even get paid because the orgs wouldn't pay us. So even though like, and I loved that, because then I was like, yes, now you're all not getting paid like me, but because I was a child. What time did you get up and go to sleep at the ranch? Okay. So we would get up, I think again, we got up like, the schedule would change. So I would either be 7 or 8, 7:30, 8, around that time. And bedtime was pretty late though, at like 10. So like morning would normally be, you go down for breakfast and then you'd muster. And then some of you would be on post doing whatever job you have, whether it's like de-weeding the hills or doing the gardening or laundry, I see, or you're on studying either 3 hours. There was 2 course rooms. So you were assigned which time you were at, whether it's 3 hours, which is like reading, writing, and arithmetic, or it was Scientology studies. And then the next shift, you'd have like a little 10-minute break in the morning there. And then at 12, you'd have lunch. And then after lunch normally was PE for about an hour. And that was generally unorganized. So we would just like run around, like kids would go play on the boys would generally go run around place on the little dirty field behind the schoolhouse. And then there was horses. So you could try to sign up to ride a horse, which was like nice in theory, at least that we had horses. We had many adventures where we'd go horseback riding and like people would fall off. Like I'm surprised nobody broke their arms. Like once I was racing on a horse and I fell off and like scraped my whole cheek and the horse jumped over me and luckily didn't trample me. So after PE afternoon, again, it's either post or 3 hours. So it's like a repeat, 3 shifts. Then you have your dinner and then it was either post course at like 3 hours or Scientology studies. And then at 10 o'clock was bedtime. So it was very regimented, like what your day was like.
Oh my God. What was the name of the high school certificate factory that we used to take you guys to get your GED?
Diane Keys, I think. Does that sound familiar?
Not the Diane Keys one, the other one. The one that just went in there and you guys did like the cramming for it. Maybe it was Diane Keys, but it was something else. But you guys went in and you just did like And you just went in and got your high school GED so you guys could go on post right away.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Or it was
I'll remember it later.
CHSPE, the California High School Equivalency Exam.
Yeah.
So they would be like, okay, cram for that on Saturday study. Like,
right.
if you were underage on Saturday, all the young kids would be like sent to a room to study. And like, I would just like read romance novels. Like, I would just mess around. And like, I was like, I don't want to stop going to Saturday school. This is the best.
Davidson.
Okay, is that what it was?
Yes. And then you guys would go, and because I had to drive a bunch of the ranchers like 3 or 4 times who were coming to CC because they were getting like sent to CC, and I had to drive them to Larry Davidson to go take the test. And then they would like
pass, or would they try to fail?
Yeah, they would go through like as many times as they had to pass the GED, so that once you are a high school graduate, then you didn't have to go to the school anymore. Because again, the laws came down really hard in California that if you weren't a high school graduate, you had to be in school a certain number of hours a day, or you couldn't work a full day, right? Because it had changed in the 90s. So maybe it didn't hit the ranch because you guys were like so isolated, but for people who were already on post, they had to be in school. And so all these kids who were underage, who were on post already, that didn't have their GEDs, were getting like crammed through. And so that's probably why you guys were getting crammed through before you went to the Sea Org.
Yeah, but we didn't, like, I never got my GD or my CHSPE, whatever, when I was in the Sea Org, and I still worked, and I only did Scientology studies and worked, and I was only.
But so you didn't have a social security number or a birth certificate.
No, by then I did have
a real person.
No.
Did you?
By then I had my social security number. I got it when I was like 14 or something, and then then I started getting paid. But all of us, when we were at PAC, were not doing any schooling except for on Saturday. Was like when we would go to school, but we were all underage.
Nora, I don't think Nora.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nora, I don't think your microphone's plugged in, to be honest.
You don't.
Which microphone are you using? Like a plug-in mic?
I'm
or
using
your
my
earphones?
headphones.
Oh,
no,
that's fine. Maybe
I'll fix it.
Oh, I got it. No. If you're using your headphones, that's fine. Katherine, one of the questions I have is, if all the cadets' parents were Sea Org members working on post, who is it that was put in charge of raising these children?
So I mean, I really don't know how. I think I've heard that it was people who were like not doing well on post, and the Sea Org were sent to the ranch instead to be like staff members. That was like towards the end. I mean, my mom was an actual teacher so my mom was a teacher at the ATA and CEO and stuff, but she actually had a degree and like a master's degree, so she was actually legit qualified for that. But then,
but you said ATA CEO. Nobody knows what that is.
Oh, that's like when we were little, like babies to like 5, 6, 7. But when we were all at the ranch, it was just random Sea Org members that were, I guess, they were called supervisors, though. There was the supervisors, then there was a cadet coordinator. The cadet coordinator rotated like once every 2 years, every 3 years. And I don't know how they would get assigned the post.
The reason I asked that question is it just occurred to me that all the stories that I've heard of the different cadet orgs and the horribly abusive experiences, it just dawned on me. They never would actually just take the parents of some of these kids and put those parents in charge of running the cadet org. Someone who had kids of their own, someone who cared about kids. They would always take these Sea Org members who were pieces of shit, didn't like kids, didn't want to be there, and they would treat the cadets like shit. And it almost seems intentional, because why wouldn't you just take some of the cadets' parents and put them in charge of all the cadets? And yet I've never heard anyone say that that's what happened.
Yeah. I have to say there were actually 2 cadet coordinators that were cadets' parents, and they were actually really good. We liked them. That was like
they were your favorite.
Like yeah, they were really kind. And then or like generally speaking. And then I would say like the two main supervisors that were there, like I didn't have any affection for them, but I didn't hate them. They were just like adults, were just like these people that were there that told you what to do every once in a while, but they were not like people I went to for help or for comfort or anything like that. And you definitely ran the risk of being like yelled at here and there, especially the cadet coordinator. This one that was Doug Bionica was super, super strict, super military, like very like.
No.
Do you know who he is?
I'm sorry. I was on the RPF with Doug.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What was it? What was it?
He was
what
very
was the
mean
RPF?
to me. I
What
don't
was
know
the
about him
RPF for?
as an adult.
What was the RPF for?
Out too deep.
Yeah.
With kids?
With a minor.
Yeah. See?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very yuck.
Which doesn't surprise me because he was surrounded by children at the ranch. And
I was going to say a minor in the cadet org or a minor in the Sea Org?
She was in the Sea Org, but she was still a child. I mean, under 18.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
you know who she's talking about?
Mm-hmm. But I don't want to put her.
I'm not saying names.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no.
Thank
you. But you have to understand that Doug
Aaron's like, I
Fiandica,
can't handle this.
Here's just a picture for the audience of Doug Fiandica. Doug Fiandica is if you walked into the dingiest, most disgusting like bar that you can think of, okay, and you find the guy in the corner who has like evangelical white hair, missing teeth, who's smoking like 2 cigarettes at once with like a pound of whiskey, who's just like, hey, that's Doug Fiandica. Okay. And then he's put in charge of all of the children in like the K through 4th grade class to be like, hey kids, let's go do PE. Like that's Doug. And people thought he should be in charge of children because he's a responsible adult.
Very cruel. He was very mean. Like once he like picked me up by my shirt and lifted me up because I was moving too slowly when we were trying to clean the galley. And I was like actually sick and I was like about to barf on his face. But
you should have.
What are you doing? And then instead I stumbled away and barfed in the ISO.
It would have been epic if you had just like Exorcist style vomited all over him. I would have. That would have been. I would have been
so proud of myself. I really. Yes. I have to say, like, there's a moment, like, I'm like really scared of him in my book, and then there's a moment where I start to like really like talk back to him, and I'm just like, "Go, Katherine," to myself, like as an adult. I'm like, "Damn, like this guy was really scary," and I was just like, like, "You're not gonna talk to me. You don't tell me what to do." So yeah. It was
he didn't get better later.
Okay, so I've been talking with Laura. I've been talking with Laura about life at the Int Ranch.
Yes, and way more strict actually.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because she talks about some shocking examples of corporal punishment against the children, which I don't know why it was so shocking when she was telling me this. Probably it's because, you know, in Scientology, even the personality test, the OCA test, has a question about whether you could agree with corporal punishment. And if you say to a child, and if you say yes, that's a bad answer. And it just never occurred to me that the kids were being, spanked is putting it mildly, but intentionally, physical pain punishment was part of the accepted and normal and considered correct way to deal with kids at the Int Cadet Org. I'm sorry, the Int Ranch. The Int Cadet Org, sort of. What was it like that at the Pack Ranch as well?
No, it was a little bit at the ATA, like kids would get their mouths washed out with soap when we were really little, or there was spankings. But I think because my mom was a teacher there, I never experienced that, but I saw it, or I observed, or I heard about it. But definitely, like, I've heard, that the Int Ranch was like a whole nother level, because that's like the gold kids. And like the higher up kids, and like they weren't even allowed to have boyfriend and girlfriends. Like they couldn't have like scented shampoo and conditioner. Like every once in a while they'd try to enact those rules with us, and we'd be like, hell no, and like hide our stuff. They're very rebellious at the ranch, and I think the Int Ranch was kept more on a tight leash, and they really controlled them a lot more. So actually, I would be somebody should definitely tell
I would say I would agree with that, because I remember distinctly the chief officer, Renee Duzak, bitching about the ATA kids, because like when y'all would come down in your little red shirts and your khakis, and oftentimes these red shirts and khakis were a bit dingy and like not sparkly, dirty. And they were a little gooey. And like I remember one time, I'm trying to remember his name, who was like the head cadet. I cannot think of his name, but he had epic hair. Anyway,
Ryan Labaki.
I'll remember it.
Maybe. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Names.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, shout it out. Anyway, it was gonna come to me later. So he would come down and he was like Mr. Suave. Like he would just walk in like he owned everything, right? And so he was like, but it was funny to me because he always had schmutz on his shirt, but he was still like, look at me, I'm in charge, right? And but like she was like, you know what they have at the Inn Ranch? They're growing organic vegetables, and look at these apples that they just sent me, and blah 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 blah. And she's like, look at our kids, they look like street urchins. And she was like just bitching about like the ATA, they're disgusting, they look like homeless people. And she was like just going on this roll about how the ATA kids look disgusting, and their hair's not combed, and they're dirty, and what are they doing? Are they just rolling in the dirt up there? And she was like going on a roll, and I was like, they're kids, like they're not soldiers, they're children. Like, don't you remember when we were kids and we would just run around and like fun when you were, we're not here to have fun, we're clearing the planet. And I was like, what? Like, it was just like, I just like, it was such a disconnect between like, you know, and then also like somebody shouting out here, then take care of them properly. Like, yeah, I mean, like how come there's no one in charge, you know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like who's she complaining to? The kids themselves or the adults who are supposed to be taking care of them?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, where's the parents? Exactly. Like, you know what I mean? It's like sorry that the kids can't, you know, like care for themselves because they've never been parented. You know, can you imagine? I mean, you have 3 kids, Katherine. Like, I just, and sometimes I would picture this myself of my children. Can you imagine your 3 children, okay, who are, you said 6 and 9?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Twins that are 6 and a 9-year-old.
Okay. Can you imagine your 3 kids right now in that environment?
No, never. And it's like wild. And like the amount of nurturing you give to your children, like how much like their personalities and what they like and what they dislike and how much you care for them is very like, it's like, I think about them all the time. I want them to be happy. And I'm like, oh, you like sports, we'll get you in sports. You like theater, let's have you in theater activities. Hey, let's a family, let's go on this vacation together. Let's do these things. And like this like genuine joy being together. That's like amazing. Like, I love hanging out with my kids and they give me so much happiness. And I'm like very, very grateful for them all the time, because I'm like, this is what I wanted, was to just have a family and be able to, I'm like, I'm lucky I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I get to be with them often. And they're all in school now. My twins are in kindergarten, but I get to pick them up from school, and we like, you know, I'll take them to martial arts or we'll go to soccer. And it's just, I love it. It's really cool. But I'm just like, how like that, when you go to the Sea Org side, I'm like, how do you just send your children off? And like, I just hope they're doing okay. And like, I would walk around with no shoes for like one summer I had no shoes and I didn't have any money to buy shoes. And eventually my mom brought me shoes, but it took like 6 months, and I would just pretend like I didn't care. Like, oh, I'm going to have really strong callous feet, I'm going to be like a Native American. And you just try to make it okay. But inside I was just, I was actually ashamed that I was so poor that I couldn't afford shoes. But it was not my place to have to provide myself shoes. But I took that responsibility on myself because that's what you're taught to do. Like, you're a little adult, and I didn't have any shoes, and it was like really embarrassing. But
how old were you when that happened?
I was, gosh, I'm going to say like 11-ish. I was around 11. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have my middle daughter asked me and Heather recently, is it okay if I go visit my friend in Minnesota this summer? And I'm like, yes. This is all over chat text.
Yeah.
Yes. Heather goes, yes. And she goes, thank you, parental figures, for agreeing with my request. However, I am too young to book this travel on my own. So could you actually
arrange
You're sitting there like, I do need shoes. I do need shoes, but I'm a child. It's not my job to provide shoes. It's just fucking unbelievable that something like children's shoes are would not be provided. Let me ask you a quick question here. Did having kids of your own cause you to think about your experience as a child in a different way?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, I've gotten a therapist, and talked about what it's like. What is it like to be a mother? What is a healthy way to be a mother? Because I didn't have that role model. And I was just like, I wanted to make sure I was the best mom I can be, because I love my kids so much, but I definitely were like, oh my God, get your shoes on, like freaking out, like that type of thing. Or like, why aren't you listening to me, like that? And I was just like, what's normal? Like, I don't want to be like how I grew up, where I just got yelled at all the time. And not like I was yelling at my kids all the time, but there's times when you do yell, just like normal parents, but like you want to be like, I just needed like a check-in and be like, what's a healthy family like? And she's like, you're doing everything you can. Nobody's perfect. But, you know, when you do feel yourself angry, maybe try to have barriers where you can like walk away, or try to like be more ready, give yourself more time for the kids to get ready. She's just giving like common sense tips, which I try. And yet, you know, sometimes you fail. But overall, it's been amazing to be a mom. And like, I look back, I'm like, oh, like nobody was like, Katherine, you're so fast, or Katherine, you did this. Like, that part's a little sad. And I'm like, how am I so cheerful about that? I don't know, but I came out okay. But it is very like strange to know that nobody was really looking out for me, or like thinking of myself as a special individual, which is like, everybody's unique in their own way. And when you're a family, that's who you go to for that like internal love and that comfort, right? And nobody's doing that for the kids, whether at the pack ranch or the int ranch. We're all each on their own. We got really close with each other as like cadet friends, but at the same time, you write reports on each other if you were bad. So there's still like a line of like, can I trust these kids around me? So to know like I'm raising a family where I hope like my children right now, obviously we're really close and love each other, and to maintain that relationship is so important to me. Like no matter what decisions they make, like I'll always have their back, you know, and as long as, you know, healthy decisions, I mean, and like try to guide them in the right way and be there for them. Like my parents weren't for me.
Yeah.
Do you think you guys did that for each other at their ranch as kids? I'm sorry, Aaron.
I think we must have, because like there is a lot, we all have like a lot of love, and like when I see my friends, like, oh my gosh, like it's like we're sisters, like we're just so comfortable with each other. We love each other so much. And I think it's because we were with each other from the time we were young all the way to now. And like there's a scene in the book where it's like my birthday, and like people celebrating my birthday are my friends. Like there's nothing like with my parents at all, you know? And that's who kind of, we had to lift each other up, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you talk to your kids about either Scientology or their missing grandparents? I mean, maybe your six-year-olds are too young for that, but what about your 9-year-old?
So he knows I went to a boarding school, and that I did not get raised by my parents, and that he just knows that, like, I just say sometimes, I'm like, you know, Ian, like, you know, when they're whining or complaining, I can't help myself. I'm like, Ian, like, this is pretty good setup here. I'm trying to get you in the sports you like. You got your theater camps. I'm just trying to do things for you. Like when I was young and growing up, I was just sent off to school, and there was nothing. What do you want, Katherine? Like, I'm just trying to be here for you. So I try to say that a little bit, not too much to like overdo it, just so he gets perspective. And he's like, what? You didn't grow up with parents? What's that like? And I'm like, I mean, sometimes it was fun, but like sometimes it was hard, you know? And he knows I've written the book, and he's like, can I read it? I'm like, I feel like when you're 12 is a good time. It's like a good age. So yeah.
Are they old enough to wonder why they don't know your parents?
So a little bit, like, so my Ian was 3 when my parents stopped coming, and my sister. So when he sees pictures, he's like, where are they? I'm like, in California. He's like, why don't I see them? I'm like, they are busy with their, like, I haven't really told them that they don't want to see me. Like, I've just been like, they're really busy with their religion. It's sad. Like, I wish they would come visit. I kind of say it like that. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So you guys keep talking. I'm going to grab my charger. Sorry. It's like 2%.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Right back.
So, hey,
you want
Nora,
to pull up some of the super? Hey,
how's it going?
You want to pull up some of the supers that have come by here?
That's actually a really good idea. Okay, eat more pizza. Very sad that kids couldn't be kids at the ranch. Puberty must have been hell. That must have been identified as SP sign.
I
can't imagine
know about that. That's Well, I think that was just time to get into the Sea Org. Really, you're old enough to give birth. You're old enough to get to work.
Yeah, Katherine, you are a warrior goddess. Be well. She'll see it on the replay. Love me some Nora. Please add this measly $2 to the Holly Lewis's donation. She's really not that cheap. There you go. Stacy Y, super sticker. Witness, this is so Holly feels better. Okay. Caught alive. Hi from Germany. You are so amazing. All from Ermeltrude. How about that? Stacy Y, have you talked with your mom about this, or is she in Scientology or past? In which case, sorry, just curious what parents might think now. Guilt. Okay, so Stacy was not here at the beginning of the interview, just like Tommy Davis.
Yeah.
Inside joke, y'all. Inside joke. So Katherine's parents are alive. They're still Sea Org members, and they actually are still here in Los Angeles, where I am right now. I might be just a few minutes away from the house where Katherine's parents have been sent. Dun dun dun.
Wait, who? Somebody said they're a few minutes away.
Aaron's in LA right now for the trial.
Oh,
so
okay.
He's
you're right.
Los Angeles right now.
Yeah, my brother wants to go stay with Laura. And did you know they were in a band together?
Yes.
Yeah, she told me about it.
Guys.
She told me about it yesterday.
They were really doing well.
They were good.
They were starting to get airplay. And then,
what happened? Why did he leave the band? He was just like
artistic
they
differences.
Just broke up.
I think
they had a spat.
I don't know if they had I think it was
I'm
just
joking. I don't know. I'm starting rumors. I'm joking.
So actually, I'll tell everyone just for the hell of it. Tonight, so we're talking about Laura Anderson, former Sea Org member, former cadet, former Scientologist, and she is performing tonight at 10 o'clock at a place that I'm going to be going to, and anyone who mentions SPTV sent them to the show. Let me see. Special performance by Laura FM and 575 South Fairfax Avenue, Los Angeles, tonight 10 p.m. and it says, I'm sorry. Playing at Molly Malone's Irish Pub on Fairfax at 10 p.m. Anyone who mentions SPTV gets in for free. How about that?
Boom.
That's cool.
There you go.
Go see her. She's amazing. She puts on a great show. She's got an outstanding voice, and she's awesome. Go see her.
So you were saying your brother wants to come and stay with Laura because she lives a stone's throw from the house your parents are at, right?
Yeah, well, they're already talking about it because they like to make music together still. And so then it just happens to be, see that she's right there. And I mean, how much do we all don't know how much does the church watch everything, but I'm like, please don't know my brother coming.
No, they know now.
Hey, listen, what are they're going to stop Laura
But hold on,
Jason
but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Mm.
The house itself is going to be plastered with cameras, and there's security guards who keep an eye on the place. And the fact that you even managed to speak on the phone with them is going to set up huge alerts, huge, massive security breach. Someone, and you might not. Are you officially declared an SP as far as you know?
I don't know. I would
you
assume
are now.
So. I mean, I thought I was, but they don't give you papers
anymore. You're on with
anymore.
Two very big SPs right now, Katherine, just in case you didn't know.
This very
big time SPs. So if you're not declared already, welcome to the club.
All right.
I mentioned that the fact that a declared SP managed to get on the phone with two Sea Org members without anyone catching it is, whoo, my goodness.
Yeah.
Someone's in trouble. Someone's in trouble.
A lot of people are in trouble.
Not your parents. Not your parents either.
No.
They didn't know.
Well, I hope not. That's the only worry. But I'm like, okay, I've done my part. I told them I love them. My door is always open.
Boom.
I'm allowed to write a book. It's my life. I didn't tell them that part, but I told my mom I wrote the book. It's just it's so sad that it's they're immediate. It's let me talk to my ethics officer. It's no, you can leave and just come visit me. Why is that normal? It's so sad.
That's the part that really kills me is if, let's just say, by the way, I don't believe they've been sent off because they've been retired. I don't believe that's the explanation, but let's just pretend that is the explanation. Then why the hell would you still be there? Go live the rest of your life not under the supervision and control of the Sea organization. If you're retired, then go retire.
They didn't say they're retired. I said they're retired. I think that they're too medically can't do any work. So I'm like, well, then let them go. I will take them.
Exactly.
I will take the responsibility.
That's what I mean.
I would.
That's what I mean.
Let them have them nearby, and I can take them for little walks and like hang out, and they could see their grandkids. And they can see their like. There's no reason for them to hold on to them. They could just say, "Oh yeah, your daughter's doing this, but you can see her if you want." Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like
it's like they're of no use to the church right now. They have no purpose within the church, and also it's not like your parents made it to INT. And they know all these secrets and they're holding on to some valuable data for the church. They literally have no value other than somehow preventing you from having the joy of sharing life with them and sharing your children with them. That's it. Yeah, they have no value. That's the card. Yeah. Right. But the value to the Sea Org and the value to the Sea Org is not letting you have joy. That's it. It's not actually a value to the Sea Org. It's cutting you off. So if they can make you not have joy, then they're going to do that, because that's the only power that they have, is that they can say, you don't get to have joy. Because it's like, for example, my sister and I are in a spat, a personal spat. It has nothing to do with Scientology. It's just a personal thing. But the Sea Org and the church keeps calling my sister to the point where she's had to change her personal phone number because they think somehow they're going to get to me via my sister, who, by the way, we're not even talking Scientology. So stop calling my sister. She doesn't even want to talk to me right now.
You have a sister?
She's mad at me. Yes, you know my sister, Erin. You've seen her.
Who the
it's
fuck
a whole
is
story.
Your sister?
But Sarah, my sister Sarah,
who?
and Sarah, her last name's Pontilos. But you know my sister? She was on staff at LA Org.
I don't know your sister.
She was on staff at LA Org. But
you've been keeping this secret from me our whole lives?
Oh my God, no. She was on staff at LA Org, but they keep calling her because they think somehow it's gonna like upset me. But it's just upsetting her. Like, stop upsetting my sister. She's never coming back to Scientology. She has no interest. Do you know what I mean? But this is what they do. They're trying to, like, you know, somehow get to people who have left and are just living our lives. You're living your life successfully, Katherine. You're a mom. You're raising your children. You're, you know, raising a healthy family with your husband in a whole other state, not attacking the church. Like, this isn't an attack on the Church of Scientology. This is just what exactly happened to you in your life. And I'm sorry, Scientology, if this factual account of what it was like growing up, being born in one of your Scientology buildings, and then living on your Scientology property and being raised in Scientology was exactly like on Scientology property in Los Angeles, okay, away from your parents, all the things, the facts in this book, if that is upsetting because it's terrible, not Katherine's problem, because that's the reality that you created, Scientology. Okay, like, you don't get to change the narrative because you, as a quote unquote religion, created a horrific, terrible reality for your members and the children that you raised inside of it. Right? Like, you don't get to just decide that it's something different. Right? And anyone who says XYZ happened is now a crazy suppressive person. That's just not what we get to do, right? And to now further try and keep your parents from you is just like awful. And then on top of that, they're also in this has nothing to do with you, but as Erin's been expertly covering over the last 2 weeks, the Stanley Masterson case is about to blow up the entire church, frankly, because of the amount of Scientology that has been entered in to the record is mind-blowing. So it you know, and then the fact that you talk to your parents is probably really freaking them out. So it's a lot of things at once. But we're getting questions for you, so I want to make sure we circle back to that, you know. But it just don't feel bad. You didn't do anything wrong. I just want to rest assured about that.
Yeah.
Well, here's one question. Did you get your legal documents after leaving the Sea organization? That's insane that you didn't have a birth certificate and stuff.
I actually did get it, so that's good. I have my
Yeah.
birth certificate. I have my social security card. Yeah. So thanks for asking and checking. And that was like, it's a funny scene in the book where like kids are kids and they're like, you don't have a social security number, so you don't exist. And I like get teased for it. And I'm like, whatever. I'm like, at least I can't get drafted into the army. It's my comeback. Like girls nobody's being drafted.
Yeah.
Like,
so
yeah.
You're back to your parents for a second. So the problem that your parents have in even knowing whether they even have the ability to leave the Sea Org and live the rest of their lives like a normal person is in their mind. They're sitting here going, it's not a matter of be in the Sea Org, be out of the Sea Org. It's almost a matter of being like if they were to go to you, because like who's going to help them? Who's going to take care of them? If they go to you, they get declared a suppressive person. So there's more things that they have to wrestle with. And I'm just throwing that out there because like your parents don't know the fact that this is true. If your parents were to leave and say, you know what, we're going to leave the Sea Org and we're going to go spend the rest of our years with our daughter and her kids and her family, and we don't care if we get declared and we'll deal with the consequences. That's something the Aftermath Foundation would help them with. The Aftermath Foundation would help them get resettled in the real world after having spent decades and decades and decades slaving for Scientology.
That would be
amazing. And yet they don't know that. And Scientology is probably terrified that you and your brother, that's the kind of stuff, that's the kind of information they don't want coming into the Sea Org. That's why that phone got ripped off the wall or disconnected or whatever the hell was going on. Because that was a house phone that that was a landline that you called. That wasn't a cell phone. That was a landline in that phone. And they've disconnected the landline because, oops, someone's family member managed to get through.
Yeah. And not just any family member.
Right.
One that's like a naughty one. No, but it's still ridiculous. It's like sad that they feel like they have, it's disgusting really that they feel like they have this control over these Sea Org members who really thought they were trying to save the world, and now trying to save the world means disconnecting from their own children, and that's bullshit. Obviously, you're not saving the world by disconnecting from your family. You're making your own life miserable, and it's so sad. It's just like, I want to be like, all I could do is say I love them and the door's open, but you're right. Like I can't get them to come out unless they want to come out. And that has to be on their own end. And maybe my mom will be sneaky and go get the book from Amazon. My parents do know how to buy off of Amazon, so that's good. At least I know they have that power. But I mean, if they have internet, who knows?
I can drop off a bunch of copies of the book at the house.
Yeah, that would be awesome, actually. I mean, just slide it into their free life. They have a free, those little free libraries that are in neighborhoods sometimes.
There we go.
I've been actually doing that around Minneapolis. I just put them in, but
I'll just hide in the bushes out front, and when she comes out for some air, I'll be like, Eunice, here's your daughter's book, and just like throw it like a grenade and run away.
That would actually, though, really, I mean, Megan has a copy. I don't know if she's read it yet. She was kind enough to share it on her social media, but I know she's crazy busy, and books are sometimes hard to sit and get the time to read, but she has a copy, so she can but she's got to read it first, though, of course. She's going to be like, Pack Ranch is so much easier than the Ant Ranch. That's what she's going to think.
It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy how they're going to paint you as this evil, bad person for writing this book. And it's like, she didn't even use anyone's real names.
Yeah, it was very nice. And honestly, like, I have joyous moments like with my friends, and like they did do things at the Pack Ranch more than the Ant Ranch, I will say, where we did get to go to the beach, and like they would take the bus to the beach like in the summers, or we went on camping trips. There were things they would try to do to give some normalcy of a childhood. Here come my kids. Beware. They coming from the park. Anyway, but not to say anything, you're still, when people read this, they're like, what? It's still so shocking. Even if I try to capture everything. The reason why it's shocking is because of that disconnection that you get from your family, and how sad it is that these children were just like shunted up to this ranch training to be a Sea Org member and never got to have a family. Like that's the bottom line. And like, it's sad. And yeah, I think that it's a story that if people are interested in reading, that I think I do a good job of trying to tell the story without bogging you down with the Scientology words and the structure. Like, I do have the words, but I explain it with words around it the incorrect way. No dictionaries.
Well, because even if you try to tamp it down, it's still worse than people think. Even if you made it nicer than it was, it's still the worst case scenario.
Yeah, and I never try to make it nice. I just said it how it was. Here's my son, Ian. You guys are gonna go somewhere with Daddy? Hi, Leo. Anyway, but
yeah,
I try to be truthful and honest, and most of it just doesn't look good because it's honestly not good. We were neglected children at the ranch and put into the Sea Org without choice, and like not going to school, and like that's just the way it was, and you can't change that, and it's a fact, and they know it's a fact. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been fun. I'll put a link to a link to your book on Amazon in the description down below. Guys, check out The Bad Cadet.
And I have Katherine. An IG, Instagram.
Yes, The Bad Cadet.
And so easy to find. And I actually listed in the book. And then also a Twitter, Bad Cadet, at Bad Cadet. So you can follow me there.
Please get the book, everybody. Get Katherine.
Thank you guys. And thank you, Nora and Aaron. This was actually fun. I don't know, I was nervous. I was like, I've never done a live. So anyway, it was good though. I didn't feel too scared. Awesome.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
If you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe.